We're live. Excellent. Hello everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Steam Games Festival folk. We're live with Mars Horizon, the strategy space agency management game from Auroch Digital, and I'm joined to give me a lot of help with my mission control stuff by Emmet Fletcher. Everybody, Emmet Fletcher, and of course Jemima.
Hi.
So, Jem, can you explain to the folks at home who Emmet is and why we're so lucky to have him helping us today?
So Emmet here is head of ESA Branding and Partnerships Office. ESA is the European Space Agency. So he's an engineer. He's met loads of astronauts. He works with rockets and stuff every day. It's really awesome to have someone who does real life Mars Horizon to tell us about what it's like behind the scenes. Even more exciting than the video game. Thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
Emmet.
amazing. Thanks, Emmet.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Probably more useful than the coffee.
Speaking of which, have we all got our coffees? We've all got our coffees. Excellent. But yeah, so the one thing we're in partnership with ESA in that they're helping us make the game. They're giving us some advice and stuff. And one really important thing is that they said it's very important that we've all got steaming mugs of coffee on the desk. So we've all got that. So we're
Ready to run our space station.
ready to go. Right. So what are we doing? So I've been playing a little bit already this morning, and I'm just about to send us to Venus. We're going to send a probe to Venus. I think it's time we did a Venus orbiter mission.
So this is after the demo, isn't it?
Yeah. This is after the demo that you folks are perhaps playing now. We're also playing the full version of the game at the moment. We're not going to go past Era 2, so we're not going to show you any spoilers. But yeah, without further ado, let's say I wanted to send an orbiter to Venus. Emmet, do you think I could do that without building a battery backup generator for the... Do you reckon I could get away with it? Chance it? I reckon.
Yes. And the other guys are like, no. If you think of how much the entire mission costs, I think the recommendation would be to plug a battery into that.
Okay, all right. I'll just build that now.
But that's the joy of the game. You can take those outrageous risks that you would never do in real life because it's irresponsible.
But no, we're gonna do it properly. So before we do anything, let's place this backup power generator, just in case we have an outage or power surge, because that is a lot of money and a lot of time down the pan. Okay.
So one of the things we've got Emma here today is you can ask us questions on our Discord or in the Steam Live chat, and we'll put the questions to Emmet. So one question we've had from one of our mods is we all know about ESA's cooperation with NASA and Roscosmos and people on missions and things, but they were wondering what cooperations you've been doing with China's space agency.
Yeah, actually, we work with everybody, actually, all the space agencies across the world. I mean, for us, it's a natural thing. I mean, ESA is made up of 22 member states. So for us, international cooperation is what we do day in, day out. So yeah, we work a lot with, as you said, with NASA and Roscosmos, so the Russian space agency. Also with JAXA, so the Japanese space agency. But right now, we are collaborating with, for example, with the Chinese space agency in a couple of areas. One of them is on some science missions. Science is the core of the European Space Agency. So everybody who contributes to the agency contributes in some way to science. It's not optional. And so there's a couple of missions we're working with the Chinese space agency, the Chinese scientific community on that. And we also have joint training exercises between our astronauts and the Chinese astronauts, which is very interesting. We have a couple of our astronauts who are speaking Chinese in order to work with them. So I mean, the first one comes to mind is Samantha Cristoforetti. She speaks lots of languages already and very, very well. But also she's now doing the whole thing in Chinese as well. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's like I said, it's our day-to-day.
Amazing. Listen, guys, we have had a problem. There's been a training accident, I'm afraid. One of our best pilots, Emmet Fletcher, has suffered a serious accident during training. Due to the severity of the injury, they've been forced into early retirement. So We can, but we can either place. Sorry, I should have said, Emmet, before we started the stream. I did hire an astronaut and call him Emmet Fletcher. So this is terribly bad luck. But don't worry, your career is not over because we can either place a commemorative plaque or hire you as support staff. Which would you rather?
I think I prefer to be support staff.
Excellent. Excellent. Emmet Fletcher has happily accepted the offer of a support role position in your agency, commenting, "I'll endeavour to pass on my knowledge to the next generation of astronauts."
Exactly.
Excellent.
Terribly magnanimous. Excellent.
Can we hire another astronaut and call them Gem?
Didn't he? Right.
In that motion, absolutely.
Let's have a look. Oh, good news, Jem. There's one with red hair.
Oh, perfect. It was meant to be.
Okay. Let's hire her. Okay, cool. All right. So Venus. We're about to send a probe orbiting Venus. It said something about a terribly thick atmosphere. So what's this about?
Well, Venus, I mean, it was named after the goddess of beauty and love and all this kind of thing. But unfortunately, and it looks very pretty at night when you see, just after the sun sets and you see the evening star. It's beautifully bright, especially if we're in that position. But unfortunately, Venus under the surface is not so pretty. Venus is funny because they call it the sister Earth. It's our sister. It's the same kind of size. Almost the same. If you stood on the surface of Venus, you'd probably feel about the same weight. Unfortunately, you'd be crushed to death, boiled, and asphyxiated at the same time, because it's over 400 degrees C. The atmosphere is 90% carbon dioxide, and the pressure is 100 times more than it is on Earth. So, yeah.
Not the nicest place to go.
No, exactly. I mean, it's it takes the same temperature as you use in an autoclave to sterilize surgical equipment. So I wouldn't. But it's interesting because it's what can go wrong with a planet. The problem with Venus is it has really no magnetic field. It has no moon, so it has no tides. So we think the core is basically either never got a core or it's died, and so there's no magnetic field to protect them from radiation to stop the solar wind stripping off the top of the atmosphere. And that's why we're interested in it, really. It's lessons learned. I mean, the atmosphere of Venus is basically, it is a runaway greenhouse effect, and that's why we're looking at it. And we have a nice thing. We have the moon. The moon keeps us spinning well, but that's one of the reasons why.
That's cool. How do you deal with those sorts of issues when you're sending rocket things to Venus with all the pressure and the horrendous conditions?
The usual thing is not expect them to survive too long. Get in there, get your data, and that's it. I mean, Venus Express, so our mission to Venus was up for a while. It was up there for almost 5 years. But that was an orbiter, it wasn't a lander, and it was remotely looking at the conditions of Venus. The problem is, in Mars, we can get really close to the surface because the atmosphere is really thin, so it doesn't slow the spacecraft down. But with Venus, because it has this huge, thick atmosphere, it really takes a toll on the spacecraft because it's always trying to, pull the spacecraft down. So you're always using fuel to keep the atmosphere, to keep the orbiter. So you naturally have a limited life. I mean, Venus Express's twin, which is Mars Express, was launched before and it's still going strong. And you can still look at Mars through its webcam every day. So
that's so cool. You can do that right now.
You can do it right now and look at the weather on Mars.
That's amazing.
So just to fill you guys where I'm at the moment, it's taking me quite a bit of time to research the necessary payload to go to Venus. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a little request mission or two, just to gain a little bit of extra funds. So I'm just we've just sent an artificial satellite up to do some, I think it was Earth's ocean monitoring. So I'm just in the middle of that. If you're interested, it's the ESRO-2B.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just finish this mission off, and then let's get back to. Uh-oh, something's gone wrong. The aligned burst transmission did not go well. A minor solar flare has caused a burst of static overwhelming the transmission. So that's going to cost me a little bit more power. Are solar flares a regular occurrence? Is that a regular problem?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually used to work on a program called Space Situational Awareness, where one of the parts was a thing called space weather.
Right.
And there was this in the late 1800s. There was a huge, what's called coronal mass ejection, when basically the sun takes off this huge layer of the surface, and it flies to us. And it was so strong that at that time they only had telegraph. And railways, and these telegraphs and railways acted like big dynamos, and the keys on the telegraph wire started to run themselves with all this power. So and that was, a couple of the operators got electric shocks, and this was what, over 100 years ago.
Wow.
And so it's one of the things.
Today, what would that be like?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of work being done. Imagine your power transformers. So you've got these huge cables carrying power on the pylons across the countryside, and they have the same effect. Now, luckily we know about this, so you can put in things to protect the transformers at the other end. But it could be. It has happened. The whole of the electrical grid of Canada was knocked out in the 80s, if I remember rightly, because of all of these. And so and in space you get exactly the same thing. When we know a solar flare is coming, and we have a mission called SOHO, which is looking at the sun, when we know, and it gives us warning because it's closer to the sun than we are, then we can actually set the satellites into a kind of safe mode to reduce the risk, especially for telecommunication satellites, because they're a lot further out from the Earth and away from the protective magnetic field. So it's definitely a thing you have to take into account when you develop a satellite.
Wow.
All right. Okay, so I'm just building our payload now. So it's a robotic probe designed to orbit another planet and capture high-resolution images and atmospheric data. I'm going for the Mariner 8, so you were saying the Venus Express is the one that ESA did.
Yeah.
And was that would that have had similar sensors and photographic equipment on it, but I suppose more advanced tech because it was a bit later?
Yeah, I mean the Mariner probes were a series of probes set up by NASA back in the 60s, and they did a lot of great initial work. I mean, the Mariner probes were mostly flyby. And that was their job. I mean, the real experts on Venus were the Russians, or the Soviet Union at the time, I should say, with their Venera probes. And they were the first ones actually to land on another planet, and that other planet was Venus. And they managed to do it, and that was in '75. So that was they are the big experts. A lot of the modern satellites, what we can do is we can pack a lot more sensors into a small area, less power consumption, because we can do a lot more computing on board, which we couldn't, you couldn't do in the late 60s. A lot of this was very, very basic, or a lot of the basically transmitting just the raw data, which means you send a lot of stuff you don't need to send now. Current satellites will do the processing of the data on board to save the amount of data they have to transmit, because when you're a long way from Earth, that becomes a big problem. And Rosetta's a great example of that. So when the Rosetta mission was a long way, you would go down to bits instead of having kilobits of communication, and so you have to take that into account. It's an interesting negotiation with the scientists and how much bandwidth they can have.
Right.
Yeah. It's cool to see how it's evolved and how that changes the way that we look at these planets.
Yeah, exactly.
You're mentioning working with all the different agencies. What sort of challenges and benefits come from working with all the different agencies and countries and things?
Yeah, it's like I said, we internally within Europe, we work with the other agencies. Some of our delegations, so we're 22 member states, and some of those member states have their own space agencies, such as the French with CNES, the Germans with DLR, the UK with the UK Space Agency, and the Italians with ASI, the Italian Space Agency. So we're used to doing that, and working with other space agencies is very enriching, because it's funny that you look at people in a team have different personalities and bring their own attributes and benefits to a team, and the same thing happens with space agencies. Each of us have different ways of working to get to the same goal, and that 9 out of 10 times that is extremely beneficial. Especially when I work with the Russian engineers, and Russian engineers do their calculations and their maths in a very different way than Western aerospace engineers do it, and it has its benefits, and it's fascinating to watch, and it gives you a different way of looking at a problem, and so that can help a lot.
So, right. So the mission is going well. I think I'm just building our rocket, but I've got a little bit of time, and I'm looking for some other buildings to build. So I can build a vehicle assembly building if I want, or I could build a PR office. These are very these are very different buildings, but
Look, I work in the communications department, so let me think. What would I go for?
let's do the PR office.
We want to build the rocket when it's bad weather. Hey, come on, comms people are always really adaptable. Huh? We work in any condition.
So in the game, like, getting support is important for helping you get funding and things. How important is that, like, public support in real life? Because that'll be a large part of what you do.
Critical. For us, it's really, really important, because we are a space agency funded by the taxpayer. We are there, we're your space agency. So it's actually an obligation on our part to make sure you know where your money is going and why it's going into certain technologies or certain missions. And so this is one of the at least in ESA, one of the things we have is to inform the public. It's actually the main aim of all of our communications, is to make sure the public are aware of what we're doing. And we can go into the communication landscape and how it's changing and evolving with social media, but it's always been that way. We always trying to keep close to the general public, because, like I said, it's cool. Space is cool, and we always go, it's really cool. But the more we can tell other people about it, the better we feel as well. So it's a cool thing.
So I'm just trying to. We've built our rocket, by the way, chaps, and we're about to find the time to launch it. Now, I'm seeing a whole lot of suboptimal on the calendar. It seems like there's only 3 months a year where this is a good idea. Oh well, we better let's go with a nice November launch. Hopefully everybody can be home in time for the holidays. Okay. Confirm that.
Important thing to schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually our launches happen over holidays or Christmas or New Year's Eve or things like this.
Astronauts celebrate Christmas on the ISS?
Yeah, twice.
Twice.
Because we have the Russian cosmonauts on board, and the Russian Christmas is after the Western. So they have the benefit of doing it twice.
What do they do to celebrate Christmas?
They have little hats. They have
hey!
little treats come up. I mean, we have regular supply missions up to the International Space Station, and so there are treats put in there for the astronauts for specific events. Thanksgiving for NASA team, for example, and if it's depending on the nationality of our astronaut, then we have specific things from there. So yeah, they can celebrate it, and sometimes usually when an astronaut goes, they are allowed to take certain foods in addition to the ones that they're told to eat. You need that.
Well, we heard a very interesting story about a bacon sandwich yesterday. Yeah. But Heston Blumenthal or something.
Because funny enough, usually our astronauts have before they go, they actually have a menu developed for them, and Heston Blumenthal did, I believe, did the menu for Tim Peake. And it's been very interesting because there are specific requirements on how the food has to be because you're in zero gravity or microgravity, and you can't have crumbs, for example. You can't have many. So as I said, there's a video on YouTube with Samantha Cristoforetti, and she's making a standard meal, which basically how uses soft tortillas as the plate, and you put the food on top so it sticks to the plate. But it's not back in the old-fashioned times. Everything was dehydrated. They have a freezer, so they have frozen food. There's a coffee machine, or also known as the water recycling unit. Think about it. So it's not as bad as it used to be. But there are these restrictions, and I think one interesting thing which I was told was when you're in the International Space Station, your taste buds sort of like turn down a bit, so the things don't taste as strong. So where they like curries and things with it. So Tabasco is a valuable commodity on board, especially as it doesn't float around and be quite dangerous. But basically, they like spicy food because they can taste it.
Oh, I see.
That's bizarre.
Why does the taste buds get weaker? Is that to do with microgravity, or?
I think they said the same thing on aircraft. I mean, if you're on a transatlantic flight, they also have the same. They design the food so you can taste it even on transatlantic. So
that's amazing.
So right after all that preparation, after the building of a PR office and a backup generator, we're now about to launch the vehicle that's going to take us on. So it is launch day. Slightly bad news, everybody. It's raining. It's raining very hard indeed. So that is going to shave a little bit off of our reliability, which was only 73% in the first place. I'm afraid I kind of rushed it. So
I'm sure I'll be fine.
Listen, we've got a 10% chance of an in-flight engine failure, which would be critical. I'm gonna go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I know what I like.
Okay. Let's have a look at rescheduling it. We've this may be a little silly. Let's reschedule this. Oh, guys, if we reschedule it, it's not going to be until next April, and that means that one of the other agencies is going to beat us.
We could just chance it. I mean, it's nearly 75%.
Listen, I'm going to move it to December. I know I wanted everyone to be able to go home for the holidays, but I'm afraid this really needs to be done. I
told you, this is what happens. This is what happens every time.
Right. It's a very
at the weekend as well, right? Come on, it's on a
yeah, I've made it. I said any time in December as long as it's a Sunday is what I've said.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, here we go. So we're hoping that sending a probe will provide us lots of information about not only Venus, but the formation of our own planet.
Absolutely.
So here we are. It's launch day. You can't see this, Emmet, but it's a very, very clear launch day now. This is looking a lot more like it. There we go. A lot more reliable now. So I'm just going to press launch. We'll have the countdown. And you'll be able to tell from Jem's face whether it was a success or not.
Be a slightly delayed reaction.
Yeah, you might hear a little tutter or grumble from my end as well. But
I'm guessing you would never ever launch with reliability that low in real life.
No.
Got it, 99.99%.
That's closer.
We've got to make it. We've got to make it a bit gamey, you know. We've got to make it.
Lets you take those risks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it got up fine. It didn't blow up, but it wasn't a completely smooth launch. There was a little bit of battery damage on the way up, so we have lost a little bit of battery power. Yikes! So that's going to make this a little bit more difficult. So. Okay, we can still do this. So the first thing is we need to enter a Venus transfer orbit. So that's going to involve us getting a load of thrust together to get out of the Earth's orbit. So let's have a look at this now. It's rather complicated.
So whilst you're looking at that, Mike, I know part of your work, Emmet, is about space debris. Is that a big issue, and will it be one going forward? And how do we deal with that? How's ESA dealing with that?
Oh, good. Okay. Well, actually, I joined the agency to do this.
Oh,
so
there you go.
space debris, which is it's funny that the amount of when we first started putting things in orbit, we never thought about causing problems. But there are things in orbit which have been there since the 1960s. Quite a lot of things in the 1960s, quite a lot of big things. And if you think that in low Earth orbit, things are traveling at 7 kilometers a second. If something the size of a pound coin or a euro coin hits a satellite, it's going to do some damage, or even knock it out. So right now there are about 50,000 big objects in orbit, and there are around, last time I looked, about 5 million small pieces in orbit. And those we can't track. So the things above 10 centimeters, we sort of know where they are.
Are they considered small? What sizes?
Well, usually you design your satellite to resist something above between 1 to 5 centimeters, depending. I mean, your optics, you can't do anything to protect them really. We have had satellites which have had little impacts on them. One of the Sentinel satellites had a hole punched through the solar panel. For this, but we have redundancy. This is your battery backup. Your solar panels can work with some degradation, and we've also had pictures of basically impacts on the windows of the International Space Station, so you can actually see where something has hit it. They're usually bits of aluminium or paint flecks and things like that. The good news is we have various different layers of glass, and you can go outside and change them.
Okay, it's not just there's a crack in the window.
You can see if you look at some of the photos, astronauts behind them, you can actually see these little points in the glass where it's been hit, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get it's going to increase. And what we need is actually international cooperation to track where this debris is, and then we can maneuver to avoid them. With little CubeSats, they can't maneuver, so they can't do anything about it. And the next stage is put missions in to actually remove the big bits, but it's very, very expensive, and the technology is very, very hard because of you're trying to catch something, but you're not standing on anything.
Yeah.
If something's spinning, you got hold of it, you start spinning as well. So, we become one big piece of debris. So a lot of the work is actually designed on how to safely capture large pieces of debris, and these can be 5 tons in size, and reorbit them.
Wow.
So, interesting problem.
Well, fingers crossed I don't contribute to more space junk with this. It's going well so far. I think I am actually going to get it out of the atmosphere, up on its way. This is the last second from last move. I've got one more move to go. Woo! Okay, so we've done the first phase of getting that out, doing the final burn. Excellent. Right. Mission control are happy. They've all got their coffee mugs there. See.
Little victory sip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for that.
So that is the Venus transfer to trajectory bit done. But whilst we were doing that, I also set up another mission, which is a Venus Impactor. So, so what's the difference between an impactor and an orbiter? Is an impactor literally it just slams into the planet?
Yep. That's what it says on the tin. Lots of times, for example, we had a mission around the moon called Smart 1, and it was what we call a technology demonstrator. So we were trying lots of new stuff on it, and it was really cool. I mean, it did some really nice things. It was very small. And at the end of the mission, we actually impacted it onto one of the poles of the moon, And there's a reason why, because we did it just the time we could get sunlight through the dust cloud created by our impact. And with a telescope, you can look at the spectra of that and you can work out if there's water in there or what else is in there. So that's one of the things you can use an impactor, is to do that kind of thing.
Well, do you know what our impactor is going to be impacting? Planet Earth, because it's just blown up. sorry, everyone.
Oh, it's just blown up on my screen. There we go. Lovely.
Yeah, whoops. Never mind. But,
that's what we get for not launching at 100%.
Right, yeah, that is entirely my fault. Never mind. Well, we've got 2 months until the Venus orbiter. We need to attend to it a little bit more. So let's have a look at some more buildings. We haven't placed the PR building. I'm so sorry.
That's the problem. You need PR.
Oh wait, I did. No, it's all right, everyone. I did place it. I must have not placed the coffee machine. It must have been it. All right, so let's go for expanding our. No, let's go for the vehicle assembly building now. So that is a vehicle assembly building, or VAB, is where vehicles are constructed and tested before embarking on missions. That sounds like we could do with testing our vehicles a little bit more before we.
So how do they test the vehicles, Emmet?
You actually you test it at every single step. Every single board is like circuit board is tested multiple times. Actually, every single chip on that board is before it's even incorporated into the board. And the board is tested. Then it's put into an instrument, and the instrument is tested. So every single stage. But for satellites, we have in the Netherlands in a place called Noordwijk. It's our European Space Technology and Engineering Center, STEC, where we actually have a solar simulator, and it's a huge vacuum chamber where you can fit an entire satellite. So you put the satellite in, close the door, suck out all the air, and on one side we have basically fridge bits, so it's a cool one side. The other side, we have some incredibly powerful lamps that can simulate the heat and the light of the sun, and we actually test the entire satellite in there, and we make it think it's in orbit.
Wow.
So we do lots of tests on that, and it's very cool. We actually had to update it because we did the Bepi Colombo mission, which is going to Mercury, and the Solar Orbiter mission, which is looking at the sun. And they're both in orbit right now, on their way. We actually had to increase the power of the lights because they're getting closer than we usually get. So we had to put more bulbs in. It's not that trivial. It's that trivial, but it's not. We had to put more bulbs in. We actually had to, all the cooling system behind and all this kind of thing has to be done. So that's how we test that. We also have some of the biggest loudspeakers in the world, where we actually put the satellites in front and we can simulate the noise of being inside the Ariane launcher. So we're basically testing all the bits and see if they actually start resonating with the sound and break themselves. And then we have shakers. So one of the biggest missions we did, MBSAT, was a huge 10-ton mission, and we actually could stand that on a shaker and the whole thing would vibrate, the entire satellite. And we do that multiple times to make sure it carries on working after launch, because you don't want to put it in the launcher, get into orbit and realize something dropped off on the way.
And they go through a lot. Can you play music on that speaker?
I'll try. I'll ask somebody. I think you probably could, but I'm not sure you want to be in the room when it happened.
That's awesome.
Dial doesn't go up to 10, it goes up to 100.
So our probe has it's quite close to Venus now, and the stuff I'm doing is the main problem I've got is that there's a lot of heat I'm having to contend with. So kind of like any module operation that I'm doing, I've got to bear in mind how much heat that's going to generate and how much heat that I'm kind of absorbing anyway. Have we done that right in the game? Like, is it? I suppose Venus is quite close to the sun's going to get a bit hot.
Yeah, it does. I mean, actually, it doesn't matter where you are before you're always going to have not just necessarily the heat, but also the contrast in heat between one side of the spacecraft and another. So one side is looking at the cold of space, okay, which is down to minus 200 and something. Okay, so it's down below, down towards the absolute zero kind of end of the scale. And the other side, you could be up to 200 degrees, 300 degrees Celsius. And so that contrast is a problem. We have things called heat pipes, which take the heat from the front and put them to the back. To actually, and then radiate them out the back, and that's exactly how we do it. I mean, Solar Orbiter is slightly different because it's so close to the sun, and that has a big panel on the front, which all the instruments peek through when they have to have a look at the sun. But that has these same thing, these huge heat pipes to move the heat from the front of the spacecraft to the back and out to the blackness of space that irradiate out into space. So this is a contrast to the old days where they used to just put the satellite in barbecue mode and just basically spin the satellite so it heats up evenly. It works, just means your instrument's going to be on one, the two sides which are rotating. But yeah, it's two different main ways of doing it.
Rotisserie satellite.
Exactly. It is called barbecue mode.
That's brilliant.
Okay, it's going all right. But this heat has been a big problem. I think we're just about to scrape by. Just. Okay. Basically, I'm going to press resolve, and we're going to have to cross our fingers because this could go really wrong.
Come on, you can do it. Spacecraft.
It's just, yeah, I just keep getting all this extra heat. It's fascinating. It does look a big, old, thick, creamy atmosphere down there. I'm just looking at it.
Yeah.
It's Venus, isn't it?
Reminds me of custard at school.
What school did you like custard?
Yeah.
We did it. We totally did it. Okay. So we have achieved Venusian orbit. We're the third agency to do it. But which reminds me. So one of the things that we were going to do on this stream is we were going to announce who the final two agencies are. The eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed they've been flying around the solar system as we've been doing this. So look, here you go. Here they are. We've got NASA, Russia, which you know about, ESA, which of course we are playing as currently. But who are these two? Why? It's China and it's Japan.
Yay!
China and Japan. So we'll talk more about them. About what they're going to be like actually in the game a little bit later. But Emmet, you've done some. So yeah, we've already talked about ESA working with China, I think. Mm-hmm. And have we done any work with Japan?
Oh yeah, I mean I just mentioned Bepi Colombo.
Oh yeah.
So actually, we have a carrier vehicle which is taking these two satellites to Mercury. One of them is the European satellite. The other one is the Japanese one. A nice thing is they do complementary observations. So they're working together, doing completely different orbits and different designs. And but actually the science teams are interacting so that the data from one is complementary to the other. So yeah, absolutely. We worked with Japan for a long while. I mean, lots of things, not just.
So in Japan, in the game, Japan has just finished their Mars orbit, and I quite fancy having a go at that myself. So
yeah, let's have a try. So that's another thing we were discussing in the stream on Wednesday. Why is it important to get humans to Mars?
Right.
It's okay. There's a lot of different discussions because there are standard these two fields of two camps. One is everything's robotic, and otherwise everything is human. The thing is that I'm in between both. Right now, we have this thing, the time lag between what we see on Mars and what we can do with a robot. And it's getting better, and we're putting these kind of expert systems, artificial intelligence onto the rovers and the robots to do this kind of thing. But it's not, you can't do the intuitive side that you can have with a human being on board or on the surface of Mars to actually do the real in situ things. There's no difference. And there's no substitute for that kind of thing. And another thing is, we have to learn a lot about our planet to get to Mars, and not just our planet, but how humans fit into that planet. What do we require to live? Because the more we do about this, the more we realize we are uniquely evolved to live just on this planet. So what do we have to do to take us to Mars? And it's a really, really interesting field.
Yeah, what sort of engineering challenges are there then in getting a person to Mars? If you're creating a spacecraft to take them there, what sort of problems would that cause?
First one is, the main one actually is not necessarily engineering, it's actually psychological. Okay, you're going to take 9 months to get to Mars. Okay, so you've got people for 9 months on a trip to Mars. It's different than being on the International Space Station. International Space Station, something goes wrong, you get into the Soyuz and you're home in half an hour. Okay, well, you're somewhere on the Earth's planet, on the Earth's surface in half an hour, right? When you're on the way to Mars, the psychological part is completely different. Yeah, because you have to do this. You have to get to Mars. On the engineering wise, I mean, the trip actually is tough. I mean, the environment is terrible. We have a high radiation environment, so we need to find a way of shielding the astronauts. Also, the way in which we can provide 9 months of interesting food over those 9 months. How you affect the psychological loneliness. And then when you get to Mars, you have the biggest challenge, which is getting to the surface of the planet. Mars is all the worst conditions. It has too high gravity to just use rockets, and it has too low atmosphere to really use parachutes and or actually to aerobrake properly to land. It's really, really nasty to do that kind of thing. Yeah? So these are big engineering challenges, and we know that landing on Mars is tough.
Is that why the Soviets tried Venus first?
I don't know why they tried Venus first, actually. It was closer. But also, I mean, remember, when they launched, no one knew much about Venus at all. You didn't know if it was actually somewhere which would allow habitable life. We didn't know it was 400 degrees C on the surface. It's the hottest planet in the solar system, hotter than Mercury. Well, now average temperature, if you look at the front of Mercury, is like 500, but the back is maybe 20 degrees or less. Right? It's actually below zero. Whereas Venus is an average temperature of 400 degrees. Its day is longer than its year. I mean, this kind of thing it means it's a really horrible place. So I think that's why, to be honest, the Russians tried Venus first. Let's see if we can find other life forms, and that was the favorite. Now, when we discovered 400 degrees C, let's all look to Mars.
Yeah.
We actually have an event that happens in the game where you can either encourage speculation or discourage speculation about life on other planets. Yeah. Which one would you click, Emmet? Encourage speculation or dismiss the rumours?
The jury is so out, and I'm not doing this just to be diplomatic. We are, for example, every single time we send a mission to Mars, we get interesting information about methane. Right. So, methane is something that shouldn't be generated just by geological processes, although we think it might do. And some missions discover methane, and other ones say we can't find any methane. And so this is interesting. And we have maybe seasons of methane. If you have seasons of methane, is that a biological process or is it a geological process? And there are lots of theories to support either one. So that's why I'm saying the jury's out. We don't know. But the other issue is, how do we know we found life? Because, okay, we can recognize life like we know life, but maybe we've been looking at life on Mars forever. We just didn't realize it was life. Yeah, it's like a bit of philosophical question.
We'll add a third button then. Keep an open mind.
Yeah. We're in 2022 we'll send ExoMars, which will dig under the surface to see if we can find not find life, but find indicators of life. We'll be clear on that. We won't find life per se. And so that's going to be very, very helpful to see if that sheds either more life or more light or more confusion about the I'm hoping for the former. I'm really hoping to. But that's a mission between ESA and Roscosmos. So it's a Russian European mission.
So when's
we've got ExoMars in the game, haven't we, Mike?
Yeah, we do.
You can drive around.
So when's that launching now? Because I think that was going to launch like a couple of months ago or something.
So because of the way the Mars and Earth orbits are, we only have a window of opportunity every couple of years. So we have to wait until the next window comes around to launch again. And then you'll find everybody launches at the same time, because that's when you can get to Mars with the least amount of time and fuel.
So is it when they're like closest together?
It's the time that when you launch and you're going towards Mars will appear at that point of the closest path. Yeah. So you basically hope you're waiting for Mars to catch up with you, or you'll catch up with Mars. So goodness you catch up with Mars. Yeah? But that's it. So you 9 months there, you have to wait 3 months, and then you can come back again if you're on a return mission, for example.
Okay, so I'm just going into the next phase of the Mars orbit mission. Obviously, we did successful in the first phase, and now we are floating about on our way. And I think we've got a little bit of data to... Oh no, we've got to execute a trajectory correction. So I'll just do that. While I'm doing that, one of the things we were talking about earlier, we were saying just how basically space is really cool. And it's cool whether it is in a book about space, in a song about space, in a movie about space. What's your favourite space music? Have you got any kind of favourite space theme music? Because we had Tim Peake singing his... no, who was it who sang the...
Chris.
Chris Hadfield singing his... Yeah. But what's your favourite... Yeah, like I think Andrew Koo quite likes a bit of Sun Ra on the drive to work in the morning. That looks like it doesn't surprise you.
Yeah, no, I can have a favourite space thing. I mean, you always go to Rocket Man. It's always a good one.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah, but he actually says that it's really cold on Mars. He's absolutely right. It's really cold on Mars.
What about, do you have a favourite space film that you like?
Oh, lots. Everybody has Space Odyssey is the reference. I mean, especially when you think when it was done. It was actually being recorded when the Apollo missions were running, and if you watch it now, you're like, oh my goodness. Also, Forbidden Planet. I have to go. Forbidden Planet with the best special effects for when that was done, was in the 1950s, I think.
Was that the one with Leslie Nielsen in?
That's the one with Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah.
Yeah, with the laser, with a little laser gun. And it was all drawn by hand. Everything was drawn by hand on top of the acetate, on top of the celluloid.
It's a lovely technique and a beautiful look, that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a sucker for that. So I love 2001. Big fan of that. But one of the things that I've always loved about 2001 is their space dinner. You know, where they've just got these kind of like rectangles of different colour, and they're kind of jabbing it with a spoon. Have we come along a long way since then, or are we still jabbing at rectangles?
We have ovens and we have freezers.
Right.
And we have a variety of food, and we've even grown lettuces on board now. If you like lettuce,
I would want fresh space lettuce. What sort of food do the astronauts cook in the oven?
Well, the oven is basically a water jacket, so it's not an oven. There has been an oven on board, and they did, I think, during Luca Parmitano's mission last year I think he did it. We actually did some biscuits and cookies. That was next year, and I'm not sure if we actually got to eat them. I think they came back down, but. Awesome. I think everything was completely sealed off, because, of course, fire on board the International Space Station is the last thing you want, and so it was very, very controlled, and the oven wouldn't have got to like 300 degrees C or something like that. It was an experiment to see if you can do this kind of thing. Although I must admit there was an espresso machine on board there.
Hey, of course.
Exactly. It was critically important, and so this was with one of the Italian astronauts. So you can't have this weak coffee.
No, you don't get in between an Italian and his coffee. Okay, so I'm just drawing this this one to a close. I think we're just about to scrape through again. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing a lot of scraping through in our space agency. I got to admit, we're not very. At least we're not blowing that much up.
With chances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mid-course maneuver complete. So that is good. So let's see how everybody else is getting on with their trip to Mars. I'd like to know how we're doing.
One thing I wanted to ask, because I know you've met lots of awesome astronauts. You've met Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. He's
really lucky. You know, Neil Armstrong gave me my degree.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a space engineer. I was studying space engineering. So space engineering engineer. And Neil Armstrong gives you a degree.
That's amazing.
Such a gentleman. I mean, he definitely an engineer's engineer, 100%. And he became after he left NASA, he became actually an aerospace engineering professor at the university for many years. So that was definitely a plus. That's
awesome. I'd just be constantly asking him about what it's like in space, and he'd be like, "Do your work," and I'd be like, "Can I ask about space again?" That's amazing.
Very cool. That's all very good.
All right, so I'm on the final phase of getting this thing orbiting Mars. I've just lost my guide star lock.
Oh dear.
That's not good, is it?
Oh.
What's a guide star?
Actually, a guide star is usually used on a telescope. So it's an artificial star that you create so when you look from telescopes on the ground, the atmosphere is all like wavy and moves around a bit like a heat haze.
Yeah.
So you use an artificial star created by a laser, and then you know the light of the laser, and you can subtract the heat haze from the picture you see. And the big telescopes use that. For satellites, we use stars just like the old navigators. We actually use the stars to work out in which orientation the spacecraft is. So we have some specialist little telescopes that look out, and all they can see is stars, and they can very quickly match the stars they see and work out with very clever maths which way they're pointing. And we use them a lot. I mean, it's basically the way we reset the gyroscopes on board, so we can start maneuvering and ensuring we're pointing in the right direction, which is very important.
Well, we pulled it. we done. No, we found it again. No, we've sorted it. There we go. We are the third agency out of 5 to complete Mars orbit, and we've even completed it before Russia, so that's given us a little bonus.
Okay.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Woo. Wow. Okay. So we did some good solar system probing today, everyone. Yeah.
So we've had a question on the Steam chat asking about, so in the game you can work together with the other agencies, although it's this slight like competition. In real life, is there more of a camaraderie, or is there a little element of competition between the different agencies?
It's definitely a combination of the two. There's a little bit of their prestige. We were the first ones to land on a comet. Yeah.
That's the coolest thing ever.
But the nice thing is when we are developing science missions, and Russia and Japan or China or the US, they're designing their science missions. We try not to overlap and do the same missions. Okay, or if we're going to the same place, then we want to make sure that whatever data we're going to do is not the same data they've already got. There's no point generating it again. So the funny thing is that the scientists globally are so into their science that nationalities have nothing to do with it, and so they will work and then propose the instruments to us, taking into account what the rest of the scientific community is doing. So we don't choose the scientific instruments; the scientific community does it. And then we do the science, and then all this science data is provided free of charge to everybody in the world. So it's the science bit is definitely collaboration. I mean, all the Mars missions are being planned to make sure they're complementary to each other. So we have a drill that goes down this far, and then the US will do something different. And so, or they have different instruments of the same kind of rock, for example. Yeah. So the science, because it's so expensive, it's silly to do the same thing twice. Yeah. You want to be different and produce more information onto this big tapestry of clues we have, when we're looking, for example, the origin of life or what happened to Mars or something like that. Yeah, but the ESA, for example, we have the ESA ExoMars TGO in orbit around Mars right now, as well as Mars Express, and they provide relay to, for example, the US rovers. So we provide the data back, and they do the same for us. And so it's very collaborative on that. There's not many of us out there around Mars, and you have to work together.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, this is a great way to bring the first half of this stream to a close. The satellite we've just spent orbiting Mars has just detected trace amounts of water on the surface, hinting at the possibility that the planet could have once supported life. Well, so let's see in the future if indeed
we're able to discover that.
It does. It has supported life at one stage. That'd be fascinating. Emmet, thank you so much for coming in and helping us send a couple of probes around Venus and Mars. That was really good. Thank you for making me put that battery back up. That would have been a disaster.
That's why we have the experts in.
Yeah. So amazing. Yeah. Woo! There we go.
Thanks a lot for inviting me on here. It's been a complete pleasure. I don't usually send a probe around the solar system in an afternoon on a Friday.
That's how we roll at Auroch. Well, I can't thank you enough. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and we'll speak to you soon.
You will indeed.
All right.
Cheerio.
Ta-ta.
Thank you. Bye.
Right then, Jen. Somehow we're gonna have to show everybody about these new agencies.
Yes, we've had people. We did have some eagle-eyed viewers spots earlier on about that they were lurking in the background. So yeah, China and Japan are our final two agencies. So that's the 5 that we've got in the game. So we can talk about the unique traits, and they've got new bases and stuff.
Yep. They've all got of course their own traits. They've got their own payloads and rockets. I think China even has its own space station. All sorts of stuff. Well, let's start a new game with one of these new agencies, JAXA or Japan, and let's go straight in and have a little look at their lovely base. So here we go. We are at the Tanegashima Space Center. Got a little cherry trees, little cherry blossom, but we don't have a launch pad. That's going to be a problem, Jem.
Oh, it looks so nice. I like the cherry blossoms. It's really pretty.
Yeah. So okay. What we are going to put in is we're going to have to put a launch pad in straight away. You'll also notice, everybody, that you can see stuff about a tutorial. Now, anyone that played the beta is probably gonna be very pleased to see this. We've got a tutorial now, but I'm gonna disable it. Okay.
But yeah, we created the tutorial based on a lot of the feedback. We found out which parts of the games people needed more explanation, which parts were more self-explanatory. So yeah, we've tried to make it well catered to what everybody needed. I think it's really good. It's really well written.
It was super useful having all those people play the beta and being able to sort of talk to everyone on Discord and get everybody's feedback from all the surveys and stuff. It's really highlighted the area of the games that we need to better tutorialize. It's shown us that considering we didn't have a tutorial, we were doing all right. So now we do have one. It's pretty good, and yeah, all the community, I've got to say, has been so useful in making our game so much better since the beta. We have added a whole load of stuff since the beta. A whole load of stuff. Let's just get this small launch pad built a second.
Yeah. So yeah, overall the beta went really well. Should have told Emmet while he was still in the stream, but we tracked some of the analytics to see which agency people wanted to play as, and 50% of people chose to play as ESA.
Emmet will be pleased to hear that.
Yeah, and I think we had 30% as NASA, and then 20% as Roscosmos, if I remember correctly. Yeah, overwhelmingly ESA. We had a load of ESA staff as well play the beta, which was super cool. So we had real space engineers playing it and letting us know, and people from all different parts, all different roles, and because we want Mars Horizon to show like how complex it is, and there's so much behind these missions. So it was awesome having people from different parts to be like, oh, this covers my job and this is part of my role. So that was really nice.
Right. What was particularly nice as well, Jem, was a couple of people saying, notice you haven't put so much bureaucracy in the game. Well done.
Someone was like, that's the thing you haven't captured very well, is the amount of paperwork involved. Thank you so much. Wouldn't be such a good game.
So what I do, I call this advanced level playing. I play it with a notepad next to me, so I feel like there's a little bit more bureaucracy involved, but you don't have to. It's optional. Optional.
We had a spacecraft operations engineer said they really liked the payload aspects, obviously, and the excitement that were captured well, like the tension. Like things should work, but sometimes they don't. Even when like everything is like correct, and it's the tension of space travel, because you want it to work every time, but there's always the risk.
I can relate to that, just I think that's something that everybody can relate to in their general life. You make these plans, don't you? You make these complicated plans, and you press the go button, and then it all collapses. It doesn't matter if you're in a space agency or we can all relate to that.
Or video games. Basically rocket science.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to have a little chill. We'll just have a little chill playthrough for the next hour. I think we've got our Allrock Nauts in Discord. We've got some people watching on Steam. If there's anything in particular you want us to do, let us know. Otherwise, I'm just going to be winging it with Jem giving me excellent advice as always.
Of course. We did have someone ask earlier on, did us at Auroch have an interest in rockets before deciding to make Mars Horizon?
Yeah, I mean, like I know a lot of people at Auroch did have a huge interest in rockets. They're not here now, so I can't talk for them, but I'll speak for myself, and probably as well you, Jem. I didn't know anything about rockets at all.
No, I just find it really interesting, but I don't know much about it, and I've loved learning about it through working on the game, but I just think space is really cool.
That's basically what's happened, isn't it? It's like I've not tried to memorize all of this stuff, but I've found myself suddenly saying, suddenly being slightly informed if people are talking about like a space launch. I feel like I can go, oh yeah, you know why they're squirting it with water? Well, let me tell you. And things like that.
I just know a lot about astronaut food, because I just care about food all the time. Not necessarily helpful for the game, but I was like, oh, look up some more astronaut food.
The whole food thing is by far the bit that I'm most interested in. As much as I'm wowed by the splendor of a rocket, I'm absolutely seduced by the beauty of our own universe and some of the photography that we get out of that. When they start telling me about chicken McNuggets on a space station, my ears prick up.
I'm like, tell me more. How does it work? Yeah, and I love watching them like eat all the food in space, or like how do you make XYZ in space? Like someone's making a peanut butter sandwich, but like I said, they have to have wraps because you can't have crumbs.
Jem, guess what event we've just had pop up?
What?
The discovery of debris likely belonging to a weather balloon has sparked a wave of conspiracy theories surrounding UFOs. Several questionable magazines.
Encourage speculation every time.
Right, okay, I'm gonna hit this encourage button so hard right now.
Give me those UFO enthusiasts.
Humanity must master space. Your agency has made the most of the speculation to promote the importance of developing human spacecraft. Many in the scientific community have always said disapproval at the response, yet public interest in your space program has increased. So I'm sorry, Andrew. Despite your disapproval, the public are more interested. But no, you can't. As Andrew Koo rightly said yesterday on the stream, space is incredible enough without even imagining the space worms.
I was a fan of the space worms. That was an interesting thing as well. Someone's just mentioned the crumbs again in the chat.
Yeah.
Emmet was saying people before the stream went live, is saying people miss crunch. They don't really get anything that crunches in space because that can cause crumbs. I would miss the crunch. That would make me very sad.
Do you know what? Yeah, now you mention it. If all you was eating was like
Soft things.
it's just toothpaste, isn't it, of varying thickness and flavour. Yeah.
I think, as I said, I think I'd miss crunch more than my family. That's a terrible thing to say. But also, I really like crunchy food. So. Sorry, Mum.
Maybe you could. No, that was a bad idea. I was going to say maybe you could just take a bit of crunchy paper and just have it in your mouth while you're eating your. No, it's a bad idea.
That's where I demand my space research points when I need to find crumbless crunch, please.
Right.
There's no such thing as there.
We'll have a whole 4th branch of the research tree in the full game just on stuff for Gem to nibble on.
Crunchy space food.
Yeah.
So coming back to things that we've improved and changed from the beta.
Right. Yeah.
Following the feedback we had, we've added the fall of the Russian Empire.
Yeah. So yeah, something that loads of people said is that you start the game as Russia and it's 1950 something. Loads of people going, they were not Russia then. They were the Soviet Union, and that is history. And so we have now put that in. If you play as Russia, if you start the game as the Soviet Union, at some point in the game you will become Russia.
Yeah, because we did have because we could see some of the countries that people have played. A lot of Russian players want to make sure we're representing things properly.
Big up the players in Russia. Thank you for playing. Hope you enjoy our interpretation of Roscosmos. We've made it so there are no suboptimal launches.
We had to give the trait to someone.
Yeah.
We've also got the missions gameplay. We had a lot of feedback on.
Right.
So we've got an auto-complete option for that now. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah. So the mission gameplay is a really interesting one. So a lot of people found it quite hard, and a lot of people found it quite easy, and a lot of people found some easy ones hard, and some people found some hard ones easy.
It's very varied.
So it's very varied. So we've done a couple of things, and I think you're gonna like them. So the first one is that we are now having tiered mission results. So it's not a straight up pass-fail. There'll be different tiers of rewards, so you can, and I think that's a lot more like what actual space missions are like anyway. You know, if you kind of send a probe out there, even if it doesn't get to Venus, it's probably going to have learnt something along the way. It's probably going to view some imagery. It's probably going to. So with our missions now, let's say we're doing the Venus. It wasn't in the build that we played today, incidentally. But yeah, you'll be able to succeed the mission very well, and then succeed the mission, and then scrape the mission. So you're going to be rarely walking away with a failed mission, rarely feeling like that the 3 months you waited to build that rocket were in vain. So that's really cool. That's the tiered mission system. What's the other thing we're doing? Ah, yes. So a lot of people said that they would like the opportunity to auto-complete a request mission that maybe they've done a variant of quite a lot of times, in the same way that many games like XCOM use autocomplete for some submission, things like that. So good news, everybody. We've put in autocomplete. So you can now autocomplete any request missions. You'll have to do the milestone missions, but that's fine because they're tiered now. But yeah, now we can get a sub-team to do your other missions. So
this is important because we did also have a lot of feedback. People really enjoyed the missions. They enjoyed the puzzle element of it. But it means you can really tailor when you play the game to the way that you like it. If you want to focus more on the other side of things, you can do that. If you like the puzzles, you don't have to complete them.
And that's it, because that's what one of the things we found out from the beta exam, wasn't it, was that people really enjoyed playing the game in different ways. So why not let them play how they want? So, some
people found it a really chilled out, relaxing experience. Some people found it very tense and exciting, and it can be both of these things, and it totally depends the way that you want to play the game. So yeah, it's really awesome that we can cater to the kind of experience that you want when you're playing it.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I'm really pleased with the way that's working out. So we're just about to do. I was chatting earlier again, but basically I launched a test launch mission and it blew up. So I'm going to go again.
Okay.
I've got a good feeling about this one anyway.
This one will be right.
And it's a lovely launch sequence, this one in Tanegashima spaceport. So let's have a little chill and.
I can watch it now. It just loads up for me. I do love the cherry blossoms. They're so pretty. I'll probably always just choose Japan because I like the base.
Yeah. No, I think we're good.
I'm watching on a slight delay, so.
Well, spoilers, we made it.
Sweet, this is good. So for Japan, the unique base traits out. So we're told that you can have a launch pad on a bit of land that's going out into the sea slightly. Nice little waterfront launch pad. It's quite nice.
Yeah. So that's right here. Just looking at that right now. Yeah, you can indeed do that. So I was gonna clear this out and put our medium launch pad here because that's gonna be quite a crowd pleaser. Just clear.
I think
this.
so.
So
that was another thing we did was the ground clearance costs. The feedback from the beta was that people didn't want it to cost as much.
Very good point. Yeah. So anyone that was playing the beta that said, "Man, why is it costing $10,000 to destroy a bush?" Don't worry.
We've changed it. Yeah. We listened to like the overwhelming, any of the like feedback we had from a large group of people. Really tried to accommodate and do these things.
Yeah. And you know, again, we've said it on all of our channels, but huge thank you to everyone that's played Mars Horizon because the majority of you have really helped make it better. It's been an incredible project to work on where like people that have a go on it are really excited by it and really enjoy being it and really want to contribute and help, and we're very lucky we have attracted a nice little crowd of community with this game.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
How lucky are we to have Emmet and Andrew as well.
Oh, so awesome. It's been amazing to feel so cool. I'm like chatting to my friends. I'm like, just got a little meeting with the European Space Agency later today. I'm like, oh, it's amazing to be able to have them to feedback and having Issa play the game in the beta as well and give us feedback from like, this is my actual job.
I can't believe they actually like found the time.
Yeah.
To do it. Like they've got much better stuff to do.
And it was nice that many of them said how much they enjoyed it, and I think it's always a sign of a good game when someone enjoys doing their job as a game.
Yeah, right. We're gonna name a rocket gem. Any preferences?
Crumless nuggets.
Crumless nuggets. Very good.
Perfect.
I'm gonna save that because I got a feeling we're gonna be using that a few times.
You're always gonna want crumless nuggets. Looking at some more, I got some little quotes from the ESA feedback forums for playing playing the beta.
What did they say?
Someone said the trade-off between launch and payload reliability, as well as choosing the right launch window, was a really cool thing that we got right. So I think this is sort of not always shown in games. They might just be like, your rocket's complete, time to launch. So they're like that we, show how complex it is and how many things have to be taken into account.
Right. No, that's nice to get props for that.
And yeah, just another person saying like that we captured so many of the challenges that space agencies face. So managing costs, planning, science priorities, space operations. Yeah, we managed to show these bits well, but in a fun way, without all the paperwork and without the length of time. Someone also said like, I wish my missions could complete this quickly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I still can't believe we got all that feedback from all those people at ESA that played it.
Yeah, and people putting their titles. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Real rocket scientists.
Okay, well, the year in the game is 1962. Japan is just about to launch their first lunar orbit mission.
Come on, Japan.
We're beating China. They haven't done it yet, the CNSA. Oh, it's a lovely day. Unsurprisingly. I mean, I don't know what the weather's like in Japan normally. I suppose it's quite mixed.
I think it can be quite warm. I've got a friend who lives out in Tokyo. It seems to be warm quite a lot.
They
But then
definitely have snow where those monkeys.
Oh yeah,
Hot springs.
macaques.
Well, I don't know.
They're the ones I think that go into the hot springs.
I love them.
They're really nice.
I, w-
Um,
I wouldn't
I
want
was
to
just
get in
gonna,
there with them.
no, they're a bit scary. I
Yeah.
think most monkeys frighten me, apart from orangutans, but they're actually apes. But I like orangutans. They look nice and calm. Oh, a successful launch I've just seen on my slightly delayed feedback.
Yeah, we're doing fine. Don't worry about me, Jem. I'll just do a translunar injection.
I just think about orangutans and how nice they are.
Well, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of monkeys. But I wouldn't put one in space.
No, this is true. I always avoid the animal missions. I was going to say what we didn't mention with Japan's in the game, the unique agency trait. They have research and technology theme, so they get a big science boost for completing milestones, bonuses for science-based buildings when they're adjacent, and a big boost to lucrative type request missions. So that's a good way to earn funds for your agency.
Oh, okay. So if a request mission comes up and it's a lucrative type, that's going to get me some nice.
Extra money for that one.
Oh, okay.
For China,
Yeah.
their base is in arid desert appearance, just as dramatic, but in a different way to the cherry blossoms. And they've got a strong base building theme, so a big reduction in building costs and boosts to building research. They also receive science rewards for failed launches, encouraging more risk taking when you play. And they have their own space station to rival the ISS and MIR. Is it Mir? I don't know how to say that one.
Mir.
Mir.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can tailor your gameplay further by which agency you want to go.
That's really cool. So Japan is like the tech and research focus one, and China is like a base expansion buildy focus.
Yeah.
One. I like that. Yeah.
A bit more risk reward in there.
I like the sound of that.
That's how I was the risky play.
That's how I play it. Well, that's it. I know that's going back to how everybody tends to play this game differently. I kind of play it like it's Texas Hold'em. like I kind of like calling the RNG's bluff.
Yeah, little gamble tactics.
Just cheeky little gamble, you know. I'm not a gambling man in real life.
But no, only in games.
Yeah, only in games. Yeah. I went to Vegas once.
Did you like it?
No, it's not for me.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like it. I'm not good at hot weather either, so a desert doesn't appeal to me.
It was really hot. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you know, gambling on a computer with pretend money or pretend space probes. Yeah, I find that very fun.
That's someone's mentioned the energy resource in the gameplay. That was another change we made from the feedback.
Yeah.
Where you could bank it. Do you want to explain that? You'll explain it better than me.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Something that you can do in the game is, and I'll just do an example of this now, is that if you leave a slot unused in mission gameplay, that slot turns to power in the resolution phase. What we've done is we're now adding an extra module, so you can turn a blank slot like these down the bottom into power immediately, so you don't have to wait till the end of your turn. That was requested by a lot of people, so more than happy to serve that need. Right, I'm just concentrating, so I've got one more move to do on this. It's another dicey one, Jem. We should be alright as long as we don't have 3 mistakes. If we have 2 mistakes, we're fine.
Believe in you, Mike. It's Friday afternoon. You got this.
Okay, first one's fine. I think we're through this. Piece of cake. There we go. That's a lovely looking payload, that, isn't it?
Really nice. I like the little yellow edging. It's very cute.
Japan ceiling. Make it cute. Right. So how are we doing? Okay. So we're still in Era 1. We've only got the Moon and Earth. Let's have a little look at this. missions. See if we can do something. Why don't we do a jolly old human in space?
Yeah.
And send send some of our favourite people up. That's always good fun.
Who should we send up?
Well, let's have a think now while I make that payload. Power cut. I think we should send some of the members of the dev team up, Jem. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. Let's immortalise a couple of members of the dev team. Oh, I'm going to need to build an astronaut.
Oh, one of our Auroch has asked to be sent up.
That is a good idea. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Now we're talking. Right, I'm going to go and... Oh, I just got told off because I didn't research some data in time. So I will... What was I going to do? Build the astronaut training centre. And you go and see if any Auroch want to be...
We've already got... one of our Auroch has asked... Zetus? I don't know how to pronounce it, but I can spell it out to you.
Okay. Okay, I've nearly built the astronaut training facility. ESA, sorry, I've just completed human in space. Okay, here we go. Let's, I've finished researching it.
I would love to visit the astronaut training facility. There's one in Cologne, isn't there, near Cologne? The ESA one?
Yes.
But it's amazing. All the astronauts, I'd just be like, talking to them all. Oh my god, what's it like in space?
Well, even though you'd be an astronaut as well.
No, I just want to visit. I wouldn't be an astronaut. I'm too scared. I'm a coward. Although I didn't know you could get back from the ISS in half an hour. That's amazing.
What?
That's what Emmet was saying. Oh yeah, he mentioned going to Mars. You can't get off like 9 months all the way there. Like you just have to commit. But he said on the ISS it's different because if you need to, you can get on this Soyuz, the Russian one, and you can come back. Within half an hour, you'll be back on Earth. You don't know where you'll be. You could not necessarily be near your house, but you'd be back on Earth within half an hour, which is amazing. I'm guessing that's like an emergency exit sort of situation. Right. But that would be very reassuring to know that, to be fair.
That makes it seem a little less scary, for sure.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I could just get home, order some food on Uber, and you'd probably be home before your food was.
I mean, it takes me... How long does it take you to visit your folks now? It's a 2-hour drive, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Track.
Yeah. You'd be better off dropping out the ISS.
Just drop into the living room. Hey, Mum.
Put the crumpets on. I'm home.
And she's like, I heard you say you'd miss crunchy things more than your family. Get out of my house.
Speaking of crunchy things, Crumless Nugget has just finished completion.
Oh, good work, Crumless Nugget. I'm proud.
Good news, actually. Engineers have managed to improve the vehicle's fuel efficiency, which should diminish the effects of a suboptimal launch. What that means is we've got some a little bit less of a launch penalty if we choose a suboptimal.
Oh, good, because we probably will choose a suboptimal launch. Because I'm like,
Jen,
get those rockets up.
It's nearly 4:30. It's Friday. We're just gonna get it up and go.
Fire all rockets. It's probably fine. It's raining. It's missing an engine. Just get it up there.
Get it up. Get it up.
That's how I would run my agency. With an iron fist.
Oh, it looks like we're doing a little artificial satellite request mission. I'll just do that. It's worth it to see the lovely launch pad, but I'm just going to skip this launch because it's raining. Fingers crossed it hadn't exploded. Ah.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of anything else that happened in the beta that... Oh, yeah. There was a load of people that said, it's saying lift off before the rocket lifts off. We hear you.
We've changed it.
We've changed that. We also... it came to our notice that our Russian VO sucked.
We're not Russian. We didn't realise.
We tried. So we have got a nice little solution for that, don't we, Jim?
Yeah, we do. We are working with Ivy.
Yeah. We found this really cool YouTuber called Commander Ivy. This cool streamer who's good.
She's been streaming the demo as well, so make sure to check her out.
And she's super Russian.
And she loves Mars Horizon, so she's doing the voiceover for us, which is amazing. We really appreciate it. How cool as well.
Yeah, very lucky. Right, nearly finished this mission, and then what were we going to do, mate? We were going to get some astronauts and name them after Aurochs.
Yeah, we've had one of our Aurochs request to be an astronaut, so we can name.
Oh, okay. Well, let's. I think I cleared out a bit of space, and I built the astronaut training facility, didn't I? Did I? Research there. There it is. Okay, so let's put that medium launch pad on the little bit of sticky outy bit here. What would you call that? Not peninsula, is it?
Oh, the little sticky eye bit.
Sticky,
No.
that's what the sticky outy bit. I'll do.
That's actually the same term.
So right, human in space. Human in space. So we've got 3 astronauts ready to be hired. We've got Fumiko Matsumoto, Miku Nakajima, and Susaku Shibata. What are we going to change their names to, Jem?
So we're going to have, I'll have to spell it out for you.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Okay, Z-E-I-T-U-S.
Yeah.
One of our Aurochs.
Zytus! Zytus! Okay.
Zytus.
We'll call him. Did I do that? Yeah, let's hire Zytus.
Perfect.
I'm just going to name a couple myself. Well, I always like to call someone Little Ringo, so I'm going to call this one Little Ringo. Hire Little Ringo. This this chap looks a bit perturbed. Actually, I think it's I think we can probably announce we're improving the astronaut portrait significantly to the ones you're seeing here. I hope that's alright to announce. I just announced it, but yeah,
awesome.
We're making these look way better. They're really cool. we didn't get it in ton. It's not ready yet, but it looks great. What are we going to call this?
Yeah, we did have a few people mention that as well, and we were like, we want to make sure every part of the game looks as good as possible. And yeah, the new ones are really good. I'm excited.
Okay, I'm going to call this next astronaut Crumble.
Crumble.
Yeah.
When I last played D&D, I had a boar, like a warrior boar, that was my companion, called Hambor. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, far out. Oh, there we go. Well.
Aww.
Oh, look at this little observation satellite. Oh, that's beautiful. That's so cute.
I'm on the delay still, so I can't see it yet, but I'm waiting.
Alright, no, well, I'll wait here for a little bit, because it's really cute. Kind of looks like a... Well, I don't know.
Oh, it is cute.
Yeah, I really like that.
I like it.
That is bizarre, how cute that is. Okay, well, that's going to be...
Just needs some googly eyes.
Ooh, okay, we've just reached the era of human space exploration. So I'm gonna have to research some rockets before we do that. Actually, yeah, let's get that going. There he is. This little satellite imaging machine. So a couple of construction traces on this. Don't worry about it, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Oh, Jem, Crumless Nugget's not powerful enough to take it up.
Oh, Crumless.
We're gonna have to design a completely new
Tried
rocket.
so hard.
We're gonna have to research a new rocket part as well. Okay, let's go for the old Delta. I'm gonna get that researching ASAP. Okay, that's research, so now we can carry on with that. So, let's have a little... The Delta for the upper. I haven't researched enough stuff to do let's go for the Delta booster as well. Gonna need a name for this one, Jem. Japanese rocket, the successor for the
Crumless Nugget.
Crumless Nugget, yeah.
How about...
Well, typically in space agencies they just go Crumless Nugget 2, but I think we can do a little better than that.
What about, like, the Crumless Schnitzel?
crumbless.
I also really like schnitzels. They're very good. I mean, they are just giant nuggets. The ones I eat anyway. So.
So I'm having some spelling problems with schnitzel, Gem.
I don't know myself how to spell it. Let me have a look.
Houston. No, I've gone for SCA. It'll be fine.
I'm sure it's fine. Well, this is how we spell it. It's crumbless, which means you spell it slightly differently.
What are we gonna do? Get big schnitzel coming down on us after this?
I'm sorry. I just like breaded meat.
Dear me. Right, what was I researching? I was going to research something else. The Mu 3, that sounds nice. And then medium launch pads. Oh, somebody wants a camera manufacturer has offered to work with our technicians to adapt its cameras for space photography and train our astronauts how to use them. They claim that photographs from crewed missions could prove hugely popular with the public. Well, we know that's true. What do you reckon, Joe?
Yeah.
You down for that?
Yeah, I think so. I want some nice photos. Space selfies are really cool.
Yeah, 100k as well, not to be sniffed at. Yeah, all right, we'll take your money, camera fella. 6 months until the completion of the magnificent crumbless schnitzel. Oh, we've discovered some radiation belts. That's very nice.
I'll have to get some nuggets for dinner again. I did have them on for dinner on Wednesday after all that crumbless nugget talk.
After all that, yeah, you couldn't. Yeah, I can't remember what I had for dinner on, but it definitely wasn't nuggets. But
crumbless or otherwise.
Have you seen that? Have you seen like you can just buy like space food and it's in like you just suck it up through a little pouch.
I've had astronaut ice cream. I should have asked Emmet, but I don't actually think that is what they eat. It might just be a marketing thing, but it's really nice. It's just like foamy stuff, and you eat it and it tastes just like ice cream, but it's obviously warm and dry.
Where did you get
that? Had it at like one of those like university job fairs they bring. Obviously, you go there, pretend you want a job, you're there for the free food if you're a student.
You just went
And then I think it was like a science course. They were like, "Oh, look at this astronaut ice cream," and I was like, "Maybe I'll do this." I'm not good at science. I did not. I just had the ice cream, hustled and ran.
A buffet. Jem loves a buffet.
I mean, yeah, that's how to get me to attend events, but food out.
I like a buffet. But so this ice cream, like, it was room temperature, yeah? It wasn't cold, right?
Yeah, it was like dehydrated. I guess dehydrated ice cream. You can imagine what it would be like. But it's dry, so it's not.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
I'll buy some.
like nougat, maybe like nugget.
Kind of like you know, you get marshmallows in cereal, and it's kind of foamy and light.
Gotcha. Right.
Like that.
Like the little bits in Lucky Charms and that.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Oh, I'll have a
Hello, so people have just joined us on the stream. Had some people saying hi.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Yeah, we're just having a little bit of a playthrough as Jackson and a little bit of a chit chat. So if anybody's got any questions about the game, about us, about what it's been like to work on Mars Horizon for the last few years, what it feels like to be very close to having it out.
Yeah, very exciting.
Very exciting because it's not just out on PC. If you're watching this in the Steam Games Festival, thinking this looks like a lovely game, but I sure would like to play it on my sofa. Don't you?
Well, you can. So it's coming out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch, all at the same time as PC. So you can choose. You can get it on all 4 platforms at the same time, which we obviously love. But
triple dip. That's my message to everyone. You know, everyone talks about double dipping. Oh, I bought this game on 2 platforms.
Why not more?
Why not more?
We've had someone say they're a big fan of the art in the game, and the spacecrafts and rocket models look really great. So thank you so much for that. We will let the art guys know. They'll be really happy.
We'll pass your compliments on to the chefs. Yeah, it's a really nice art style. I mean, it's quite bold to do like a strategy game like this, and then go like kind of semi-cartoony or like impressionistic. It's colourful. It's unashamedly colourful. Yeah, we like it, and we're absolutely over the moon that you like it too.
Thank you.
I'm not doing so well on this, by the way, Gem. I'm kind of...
Yeah, I can see that. It's delayed, but I can see the errors. I'm not good at these bits. I'm not so good at forward planning. Like with chess, we've got to sort of think a few steps ahead.
Right. Yeah.
But that's why I think some people are really good at these puzzles, and some people not so much. So it's I'm not so good at these bits.
Well, although I am a producer for a living, forward planning is not really my thing. I'm more of a wing it kind of guy. But
I've had some Auroch Nauts speed running it, doing some really awesome stuff. So they're obviously really good at forward planning.
Yeah, that is reassuring. And I should say, if you're thinking about becoming a producer, you do need to forward plan. Yeah, ignore me. Everyone else, right? This is getting worse and worse, Gem.
Oh no! Can we just give up? Come back.
I think we might just scrape it. But
Yeah. Okay.
for a change. I forgot to ask Emmet how he got into this.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just email him. Just wondering, Emmet. Yeah, it's really cool. We've had European Space Agency and UK Space Agency helping us out make the game authentic, and talking to that. We went over to visit ESA, a few of their sites, and interviewed a load of the people doing the work, people in mission control. To make sure that we were capturing the essence of like the complexities of it.
The whole thing, yeah. I mean, we've actually got to pimp our podcast. We've actually got a podcast episode, haven't we?
We've got ones with interviews with people over there. We've got ones talking about how we transferred the complexities into a game. We want to keep as much of the complexity in there as possible, but obviously make it fun, not make it take hours. So I'll put a link to that, that you can check it out on our site, and it's got quite a few Mars Horizon episodes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Let's have an episode where you just talk about how much I love Harry Potter games. So.
It's not. There's lots of other podcasts for all tastes. Right. So where were we? So we were making this rocket, and something went wrong. Oh, that's it. I hadn't researched the right part. So now I have. Now I've researched a delta upper and a delta booster, and we're gonna need another name.
Oh, so another rocket name.
Yeah.
What are the? I mean, I'm just thinking about nuggets again.
All right, let's see if there's. Let's name it after one of the Auroch Nauts.
Yeah. Okay. Let's name it after one of our mods who came up with the word
Creole.
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 With a K. Yeah. Kreole. So Creole invented the word Auroch Naut, which we're very thankful for. And there's a little thank you credits to them in Mars Horizon credits.
And we've now immortalized you on stream with a rocket that it'd be really bad if this blows up completely out of our hands and nothing personal. It better not blow up because it's gonna have some astronauts in it.
Oh god, it's gonna have one of the other Auroch Nauts on top as well. I'm sure it'll be fine. If I was going to blow up in a rocket, I'd at least want it to be named after Creole rather than a crumbless schnitzel, I suppose.
I mean, it's a tough call.
How would you want to go?
Yeah, both noble, you know. Well, the Creole's complete, so let's watch this magnificent reveal as Creole sits at home going, why me? Why are you doing it? There we go. Okay, so who should we put in the mighty Creole, Gem? We can put Crumbor, Little Ringo, or Zetus.
Let's put Zetus. Let's get Zetus up there. I'm watching the stream right now.
Okay, all right. Fingers crossed, chums, that there are no accidents.
Sure, it'll be fine.
Well, listen,
alienate more than one Auroch Naut in one go.
Let me just check if I've built like all the necessary like safety stuff, because I researched them all, but I don't think I built them. And I want to give.
We knew about these, but
I want to give
Zetus. I think we've just been told it's pronounced Zetus.
Zetus. Okay. So I tell you what. I don't want to make their life too easy, but I will build them a rocket test pad. How about that?
That's very good of you.
Just we'll give it one shot. We'll give it one little test before they go up. Listen, there's other stuff we could have done. You know, like we could have given them a backup power generator. We could have made the spacecraft assembly facility. I don't think they've earned that yet. I don't think they've been with us long enough. Give them a couple more years service. And all right, the Gemini is complete. That's gonna be the vehicle that takes our crew. Here it is, Human in Space, May 1967.
When did the first humans go to space? Have we done it before then?
Yeah, we did it in real life a little bit earlier than that. I think I got a feeling it was about 62, 63.
12th of April 61.
61, even earlier.
Yeah, they did it a little before us. Yuri.
Well, let's see how everybody else has done it in this mission. So we're literally the last people to do it in the game as well. Everybody else is.
They're not live streaming at the same time.
They're not. And also safety first.
Yeah, that's true. You know. We're gonna make sure our Orknauts come back. Probably. Hopefully.
Or almost probably. Yeah. So okay, what are we doing? Oh yeah, we're ready to launch. All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, it's a clear day. It's good news.
It's good. Good sign.
Looks like a lovely evening. The sky has begun to bruise, and we shall be forced to camp. Or launch a rocket. The Creole, ready for action. 80% overall reliability.
I like those odds.
I like them too. Pressing the go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awkward pause. A little bit of smoke. A little bit of steam. Glowing rocket. Smoky smoke smoke. It's going aloft a little bit. It's dressing to the left a little. Okay, we good.
I'm watching the slight delay, so I'm like, oh.
I know
now I'm watching.
You've got to go off of my like grumbles.
That's probably. That's not how you want to know if the rocket's gone successful. Listen to someone else's reaction.
Houston, we have a problem, would not be as famous if it was. Houston.
Hooray! We didn't kill you, Zetus. Now can we get you back?
Okay, let's have a go. Right, I'm going to send you to do one crew option, and then send that to that, and then a bit of that. Don't know why. I'm more tapping random buttons. Ooh, I love that when that thing goes wrong. Yeah, you'll see it in a bit, Jem. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, I do like the failure animations.
That was a data loss one.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, also bad, but it looks good.
Okay, good.
Off to a good start.
It's off to a good start. Like, yeah, it's not a big craft. This, so our poor astronaut is very tightly rammed at the moment.
Oh,
but you know,
it's just a bit scary. I would never go into space.
Well, Emmet was saying before we went on stream something very interesting about a possible solution for sending people to Mars is sending elderly people, retired astronauts. Isn't that interesting? So people that are kind of like 60 whatever, towards the end of their professional career, who, like, one of the biggest risks, as he was talking about in depth, is the radiation in Mars. He was saying that if you send older people, the effects of the radiation will happen a little too late. you know, a little after after it matters, if you know what I mean. So I'd never heard of that. Fascinating.
Yeah, it makes sense. And he also was saying that like all of the astronauts, they want to go back. They want to go back to space, which is really cool.
Yeah,
like they love it up there.
Yeah,
they love space.
Because we were saying, surely you go up, you come back, and you're like, no, that's me, I'm done. Emmet was saying, no, they can't blimmin' wait to get back up there.
What if it's like, you know, like tattoos? You get one, you instantly like, I want another one. You go to space, you're like, I really want to go back straight away.
I bet it is.
Because I thought it'd be, or for me, I would definitely be like, I did a bungee jump once, and it was super exciting, but never again. I've done it now. That was very scary. I survived. It's fine. I don't want to do another one.
That was I did like a tandem parachute, and it was scary, but they never tell you that basically the wind's going to get in your eyes and you're not going to see anything for the whole of the way down. So I spent the whole 20-30 seconds just going, ugh.
I can't see anything.
and I wonder if in that 30 minutes down from the ISS, I suppose they wouldn't have the windows open, would they? So they probably wouldn't get that.
No, probably just be sat there shaking around.
Okay.
Was it exciting? I was wondering about doing a parachute.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what kind of person you are. I tend not to get nervous about stuff, but when it's time to do something, I go a bit weird. So I kind of jumped before he was ready.
It's like strapped you, like, what are you doing?
I was ready to go. I was like, but no, I'd recommend it. But
the bungee jump was like, I did it. It was a tandem one. I did it with Chris, and you were supposed to face each other and like hug each other. But his chin hit my eye, and I had the biggest black eye for like 2 weeks, and his beard stubble scraped off a layer of skin. Yeah, it was quite a violent bungee jump. So maybe not as good as I would have thought it was going to be. I think maybe bungee jump with someone the same height as you. That's probably what the problem was.
Right. That sounds terrifying. Way scarier having been strapped to somebody than doing it on your own.
Yeah, you do have to like choose to drop, and you can see the floor. I was thinking that'd be worth. Oh, Zetas is home. Yay!
He is home. Everybody's home safe.
They said thank you for not killing them.
Well, give it 6 months. Gonna send you up again. Sorry.
Back you go.
You signed up to it. Okay, so we've got 1/4 of an hour before the end of this. I reckon we should go for the highest risk mission available, which is the multi-crew orbit.
Yeah, get all that crew up there. Little Ringo.
Actually,
Zetas.
do you know what? That is a good point. I could have put them all up there if I went with a particular payload that has the increased crew capacity. So I'm going to do that so I can fit all of our gang on board. What a party! Yeah. What a way to see that as a stream. Amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting that the ISS is so big. 3 caravans, Emmet was saying, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now.
Oh, what's this? Speculation.
No, it's not. No, it was so 3 caravans. But you can see it from. You can kind of see the little dot, can't you, at the ISS? You can kind of see it from space. I wonder how high up it is. I can never quite get my head round. How many miles up do you have to go before you're in orbit?
Yeah, it's like past that blue layer.
the blue bit.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are.
You can get on a balloon, can't you?
Like, yeah, that bum garden guy did it, didn't he?
Hmm.
We're gonna have to make a new rocket, by the way. Let's hope we've got enough stuff researched. We haven't. Okay, we're gonna have to go and dip into the research tree. Yeah, and I was reading that one of the things, space tourism-wise, is gonna be like balloony stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense because I guess it's much cheaper to do. We were looking up, me and the Orknauts, a little while ago about how much it costs to go in those, you know, the planes that go up and down to simulate microgravity.
Yeah.
Like $6,000.
Is that how much it is for one of those up and down?
Well, yeah, I just had a little Google and I was like, how much did that cost? I was like, what's a lot of money?
I mean, it's quite a. I mean, completely unaffordable to us.
But if I was a millionaire,
Yeah, right.
do it again. I guess it'd be quite scary too, wouldn't it? But I guess it's not space.
The thing is, like, we've talked a lot about could you or I actually go up into space, and I've been thinking about it long and hard. And what Emmet was saying, I think I could if I was 60. And there was donuts, crisps, burgers, and milkshake. But we don't know what the future holds. Maybe we will get space donuts in the future.
I'd like it because he said they were growing lettuce in space. It'd be cool if they could bring it back, and then I could eat some space lettuce.
Now that's an idea. Or maybe just bring back the seeds, and then we could grow our own space lettuce from the space seeds.
Or he was talking about that oven that they had, and they made some biscuits. I would like some of those biscuits. I could eat those cooked on the ISS. That'd be pretty cool.
Imagine that.
Do you think they were shaped like little rockets?
Yeah, probably.
I like to think so.
Like I would have done a little Saturn one.
Oh.
And I'd have done.
They were trying to ice it, and the icing's like floating around, and, squeezing it out of the tube, and it's just floating away. Trying to like move the biscuit to stick to it.
I love this. I don't there's a little bit of lag on the screen, but basically every space agency just launched a mission at once, and the orbit lines coming out of Earth looked rather good. Keep an eye.
Oh, I've just seen it. Yeah.
How cool is that?
That is absurd. But then that is what Emmet was saying. Like when Mars is in a certain position,
right?
They were like, quickly get a Mars.
That must have just been the Mars transfer orbit, or whatever it's transfer window, or something they call it, something like that. Don't they? It just appeared.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I never think about these things, but yeah, you're gonna have to make sure it's the right window.
Still researching these rockets, Jim.
I believe in you. Get that research up. The research tree is looking so good.
Oh, it's going to look better as well. There's we've just done another UI revision on top of the one that people are seeing here now, and it's even nicer.
Amazing. Every time I play the game, it's just looking better and better. Team are working really hard behind the scenes.
We're absolutely on a roll now. Absolutely on a roll. Like, you know, we can see the end, and it's coming together. The console builds we've been making lately. Whew, luxurious. I don't mean to.
Yeah, we had a little picture on our socials. You can have a look of Mars Horizon on the Switch. It looks so good. It's so cute.
Yeah, it's running great on the PS4, the Xbox One. We'll answer the questions about compatibility soon. Don't ask me now, but soon. We're gonna need a name for this final rocket that's gonna take all of our Auroch chums up.
Okay. Let's call it the Aurochnaut. It's gonna take them up, isn't it?
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, so that's building.
So if you'd like to become an Aurochnaut and you're not currently, you can join our Discord. There's a link to that on our socials. Yeah, it's a really lovely community. We talk about space and space worms and crumbless nuggets and or anything games. Like, doesn't have to be space as well, because we have other games as well. We're just sort of at Aura Digital. We're all a bunch of nerdy gamers, and we just love talking games. There's
some if you like strategy, if you like management-y stuff, if you like fantasy, if you like just nerd stuff, come over to Auroch. You're gonna make some friends over there.
If you want to talk about Harry Potter, I'm there to talk about that.
Yep.
And, I'll talk to myself about it if no one else does.
And if you want to talk about arcade games, sometimes they let me in the chat room.
Mike has his own arcade cabinet. It's really cool.
But that's one of the really cool things about the Auroch Discord as well, is that it's full of the stuff.
Yeah, it's nice. So you can just talk to the people making the game.
So, Little Ringo, Crumbor, and Zetus?
Yeah, we're going to go in the Aurochnaut.
They are all aboard. So I'm just going to assign their training. We are leaving in April 1970. 1971, sorry. Which is coming up in 3, 2, 1. It's launch day.
Sweet. The spacesuits will have flares in honor of the 70s.
Did you ever have 70s nights when you were younger? Or was it 90s nights or 80s nights?
So we had our own 90s flares. I don't know what you'd call them. They're sort of like tight to the knee and then go into these big. You see a lot of jokes like 90s kids, you're dragging the jeans around and get all wet along the bottom. So we didn't have 70s flares, but they kind of come round in fashion, don't they? They kind of look the same. I've seen some of them coming round again now that 90s fashion's coming back in. I see some of them when I go out to raves and stuff. I'm like, I recognise these outrageous flares.
So hang on, I've just blown everyone up.
No!
The vehicle's been destroyed and we've lost all the astronauts.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm very sorry about that.
The Orc, nice way to end the stream. We've blown everyone up.
So, I'll just quickly say on flares, I miss flares. When I was at university, 70s nights was a big thing. And I don't think I've ever felt more myself.
Just start wearing them again. It's fine.
I think I might. Okay.
Oh, the Crusaders, all of them just gone. Well, that's the risks you take with our risky space agency strategy. We're just firing things at random.
I'm afraid if you sign up to Gem and Mike's ropey space agency, you're gonna get killed. But I mean, okay, so I want to apologise to JAXA. I want to apologise to all of Japan. I want to apologise to Crumbor, Little Ringo, and Zetus. And I want to just generally apologise to everyone for this tragedy that has just befell our...
Thanks for joining us on our stream.
Yeah. So yeah, apart from that...
Perfect end to a Friday afternoon. Just kill everyone and bye.
But this happens. Hey, listen. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks Emmet for turning up and helping. Can't believe you did that. That was so cool. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, chatting everyone. It's been really good to have your questions. Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter, whatever, the Facebook, all of that malarkey.
Chat to us on Discord, and please wishlist Mars Horizon. It makes a really big difference for a smaller studio like us.
Yeah, we're tiny. We're like 7 people. We've been making this game for years, and it's nearly coming out. We haven't announced when it's coming out yet, so don't be jumping the gun. But this year. But yeah.
Make sure you follow us on socials or be in our Discord. Then you'll be the first to hear about when we announce a release date.
Chat about it. Tell your friends. Like and subscribe. Email your nan. This is Gem and Mike from Auroch Digital.
Signing off.